Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Petton, President of the Technata North Business Association, and I'm thrilled to welcome you today to the Discover Technata Virtual Roadshow. We're thrilled to be here today as the association representing over 540 technology companies in Canada's largest technology park. Sit back. Over the next 2 hours, we're going to share incredible stories from business owners, engineers, technology enthusiasts, and investors from across the park who have grown their careers in Canada's largest technology park. They've chosen to live, work, play, and learn in Technata North. And after this session, we hope that you'll choose to do the same. Visit discovertechnata.com to learn more about the career opportunities that exist in Technata North and enjoy today's sessions. Take it away, team.
Come in, Z Victor 1.
Good afternoon, Sir Terry, and welcome to Discover Technata. Thank you so much for joining us today to open up our Discover Technata virtual roadshows. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us. You are a man who needs little to no introduction, but please do take a few moments. Tell us who you are and give us a brief history of your career and your incredible success in the high-tech sector.
Oh man, is that a big story. And Victoria, it's really nice to see you. Thank you for pulling this together. But it is quite a long history that started when I was quite young. And as a young person, I loved engineering. And it was a time when I could fix anything. Like my grandmother's wireless broke, I'd fix it because I loved engineering, whether it was coming through school, whether it was even coming through junior school, fixing cars, fixing radios. And then as a 15-year-old, I was selected in school to work in a wireless lab for what today is BT. And this was for millimeter wavelength. Now you imagine, I mean, you're somebody at 15 and going through most of the next 10 years in the world of wireless. And yet today, here we are in a world of wireless, and I understand it right down to the very basic wavelengths and powers and dynamic range and so on, because it's kind of embedded into the DNA. So I was then hired out of that lab by what today would be known as Microsystems International. This is a company that no longer exists, but this is going back into the late 60s, Canada's big semiconductor manufacturer, and in the world of telecommunications. So I was interviewed and selected yet again for an engineering role, this time in the world of applications engineering, running an applications department for this new semiconductor company. Now, I like that, first of all, because I've always liked Canada. Secondly, I like traveling. And here I'm asked, would you take a job in engineering? Would you go around the world talking to companies who plan to use the semiconductor devices and explain to them how it's used, the complications, the upside, and so on, to design it in? So this became my first trip to pretty much every US city. Wow. Lots of European cities, first time to Singapore, first time to Hong Kong. I really enjoy travel. I really enjoy engineering, and that sort of resonated with me. And the job was in Ottawa. And then I chose to buy a home in Canada. Now,
why Canada, Ontario? Of all the places you could have set up shop and bought a home?
No, because this is where the manufacturer was, called Microsystems International. And I really got on well with the other people because, remember, my job would be to persuade people to buy integrated circuits, tell them how to use it and so on. And so I became part of the team and we really enjoyed it. Then my home went up in value in Canada. And I decided to start up a company by using the increased value in the home and using that for a loan, start up a company.
Wow.
being a little naive, Victoria, I mean, I had to live on the money as well because this was a startup company. And I did that with a partner called Mike Copeland. So Mike and I started up this company, and that became a very successful company. I mean, you think about it, I only had about $1,200 to put into a startup. This was the
Incredible.
end of 1972, and that began Mitel, Mike and Terry. You see Mitel.
There's the
And
M and the I and the T and the E. Is that correct?
here you go, here you go. So the whole company started up, but if you only have $1,200, how do you get people to join the team? Aha, I worked with new grads and I gave them shares in the company because they didn't have cash. Well,
Wow.
guess what? I mean, this is a great story, really, for the kind of people online here. I'm a big believer in sharing the upside. So I didn't have cash to pay, like work, get paid. But young people typically, if they're enthusiastic, well educated, they could participate in a team. 6 months later, we had our first product.
So it
Now, I
took
do
you
have that first product, and I'll just show it for those people who are
Wow.
watching. I laid this out myself, so it was quite a lot of fun to work with a young team, and that young team got shares instead of cash. The cash, actually, the salaries didn't start till 6 months later. So
Wow.
the key learning in a team, make sure they have ownership, and that creates like entrepreneurial hard work ethic and so on, and build what clients or potential clients say they want, which is exactly what we did. 6 months later, we brought in some equity, a new investor, and the whole thing started up. Now,
Wow.
you might say, well, shares, but 10 years later, every $1 turned into 2.5 million. Nobody complained.
Wow. Can you say
Nobody
that
complained.
again for
And
us,
each
please?
year, the hard work ethic grew more and more great products. And remember, I explained to you about the global
Mhm.
traveling to Singapore and most US states and so on. Well, you get to know end clients.
Yes.
Whoa. So that, like, these clients had a great relationship with them, and some of them became clients of the Mitel products. And so the company grew at a ferocious rate. 10 years later, every $1 became 2.5 million. So
Wow.
the company grew great time in this Canada North area, became very successful. I mean, by far the most successful company at the time in this area.
How many people were working? If you and Mike Copeland were the first two, how many employees were you at that point?
Well, but by about 1973, there would be about 6,000.
Wow.
So it grew, but not just 6,000 in this area. We had an operation in Ireland, a huge operation in the US and the UK and so on. It became very global. So one of the things that I've always enjoyed is doing global business, traveling, visiting clients, traveling, visiting partner companies, dealers, wholesalers, and so on. Now, of course, Mitel continues to grow, and the company is still very much a global entity. It's very interesting while we're on that subject. We're using Zoom today
We
to
are.
have this, and we're not in the same room, by
I
the
wish we
way.
were.
You know that, and there'll be lots of people online. And just to highlight the point I'm making, is that it'll be via a cloud infrastructure.
Mhm.
We both know that. And it'll be via broadband networks. Yes, we know that. How did the cloud handle real-time communications? So for those that have some interest in history, take a look at VMware, a cloud supply, one of the first cloud suppliers for computers in the cloud, data held in the cloud. But that's what it was. It was computing and data. It wasn't real time. The company called Mitel is the company that started up this real time environment for communications that we are using right now.
Wow.
Unified communications, real time. I mean, it's nice to use Zoom or Microsoft, but if it isn't real time, I'm sorry, but that's not very good. And
Agreed.
that technology started right here.
So Terry, tell me, we've heard this story of you starting as a young, I know you're very young today still, but even younger than you are today, started this company called Mitel, grew it. This is the stuff that all of our entrepreneurial dreams are made of. What happened after Mitel? Are you still working? Have you retired? What do you do? Where do your interests lie?
Well, I mean, would I retire? Are you kidding? It's like a hobby, right? So during the first shot with Mitel, so early 80s, I began to set up partner companies. And the partner companies did well because once a company's global and doing business, how nice to have partner companies that are actually partnering on developments and getting their sales via the bigger company. Now, I'm a big believer in that. So the big believer for me starts with speak to potential clients and build what they say they need. Then they buy what you built because that's what they said they need. That's client pull, not client push.
Yeah.
Make sure in a team that you share the upside.
That's really important by the sound.
Much important, think global, understand different cultures, languages, and so on. Think global. You put those things together with a team that works together hard, you get success. So if you look at this Canada North area, of course I live here. Why do I live here? I don't have to live here. But nevertheless, this is where the tech industry is biggest in Canada. I think you probably have more knowledge than I do about this, but there's something like 350 tech companies around here.
I think we're at 500 plus on the last count here.
Whoa,
so, yeah.
Good God. And in my career, which is now, of course, a long time, I've started up 150 tech companies, 150, and no bankruptcies. Some of them had to shut down. Yep, got it.
Yep.
But no bankruptcies and lots of people learning and starting up tech companies. So this is an incredible tech society here in Canada North. Not only young companies that grew and grew here for that matter, but some absolute global sized companies. The biggest radio lab for Ericsson is right here.
Incredible.
The business of Nokia's optical network business is headquartered here. Sienna Optical Networks.
Yes.
And a long list of highly innovative companies, whether it's video, like Ross Video, or whether it's messaging for those people that like the world of networking. Messaging is a key component part for any network. But it's higher up on the stack. So a leader worldwide is Solace.
Yes.
Solace Sun, Ace is first. Isn't that interesting? How easy it is to get a name like that. And then Martello, a company I started up, this global #1 guy supplying digital experience monitoring is here. I mean, I could go down a long list. Imagine a company like QNX, 80% plus of the operating systems in all vehicles. Wow. Are you kidding?
And that's developed here in Canada North, Sir Terry. Right?
Canada North. So why do I like this? Well, I'm a tech person. I'm a tech business person. I'm a global tech person. I enjoy that. I get great enjoyment. Perhaps I should retire and go down to California. Or maybe Florida. I mean, Florida is very nice and warm in the winter.
You're not retiring. You said yourself you're still going.
Zero hope.
So, Sir Terry, for all of us on the call today, and it's so inspiring to hear your stories. We have graduates here on the call from.
Well, Victoria, why are you here? Don't worry about me. You don't have to live here.
I love it here. I'm raising my family here. I love tech, just like you. I love being surrounded by this ecosystem.
Look, Victoria, let's be honest with each other. It's very cold in the winter And
It is.
I'm not sure if your kids like skating on the world's largest skate rink called the Rideau Canal. You probably don't like skiing because like it's at least 15 minutes to drive to a ski resort.
It is a really, you're right about location. We actually have Invest Ottawa and Ottawa Tourism joining us later in the roadshow to talk a little about our city. So Terry, so a question for you, and maybe this is a few of us are thinking this. What advice would you give to young people, to new grads, to people who've worked so hard at education and maybe they're still not quite sure where to work, what sector to go to? Maybe Canada North's interesting. What advice would you give to new grads about starting a career in tech and growing success like you have done?
Well, Victoria, what did I do? I came to
What
this
did you? Yeah,
area
it sounds like you worked hard.
and I'm into tech.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I move to Silicon Valley? I mean, there's a lot of tech in Silicon Valley. Well, there's some downers, unfortunately. I mean, if you wish to be a billionaire, it sounds fine to work, create something or work in a company, learn the industry and go down a track, perhaps as I did. And if you're not careful, though, you forgot about the fact you have a life.
Right.
Like even if you have a lot of wealth, let's say, like what did you do with that? The nice thing about this area is it's the capital city. Nice thing about this area, the average education is very high, higher than I've seen anywhere, actually. And people like the Canadian flag is a great flag.
That's fantastic. So Terry, we have a load of young, enthusiastic people on this call today who might be considering Canada North as their next home, the place they might want to, live and build friends and family. What do you do in your spare time here? Do you play hockey? Do you ski? How do you spend your weekends?
A little bit of all of the above. I really do, as you know, enjoy tech, which we've talked about. It's good to get strategies right as we go ahead. So tech is my normal daily work.
Even on weekends?
Well, weekends you meet friends who are from the tech industry because then you can have a little bit of fun. And on top of that, talk a little bit about what's going on here, what's going on there. And you participate in this, Victoria, as we have every month a Tech Tuesday on the first Tuesday of every month, and that's been running for quite a few years. Really good for me to see that you get over 300 people that get together and network and have a little fun from around the city. And you also know that over the many years, I put a golf course in here and a hotel, and that's fun as well.
So you do play a bit of golf?
Oh, nothing like a cold beer. Just having a little fun, right? So, I mean, because sometimes we meet and talk a little bit about the business and clunk, clunk, clunk.
We do.
It just the whole area is not just tech. The whole area is about green space, walking, skiing, skating. I mean, skating is a huge thing here. And by the way, all kinds of soccer for kids and tennis and
it sounds like very active.
Very active. I mean, we are lucky to have so many natural facilities around here.
We truly are. So Terry, one quick question I've always thought about asking you as well, and never had the opportunity. Your degree when you studied at school was engineering, is that correct?
Yeah, I took an electronics, an honors degree in electronics.
And
which is my thing,
That's your thing. So tell me today, do you ever still tinker in that world? Are you ever actually hands-on now with writing code or doing anything you applied at school, or how does it look today for you in the world?
Have you been watching what I do somehow through the window? Or?
I'm wondering if you're just a crazy inventor still in a lab, still doing all this fun stuff. Does that ever change?
Well, no, it never really changed, but I do like global business. And global business takes you to meet very interesting people. And on the same part and parcel of that is to talk about business, client needs, to take you to the next level.
Right.
And so I'm a big believer right through my career, think ahead. Where are you now? But think ahead.
Right.
Make sure you get your goals right, thinking ahead. And I've
Fantastic.
always done that.
Wow. Well, thank you, Sir Terry, for taking the time to be here with us today and open our Discover Technata roadshows. We have some great partners and friends of yours and ours on the seminars today. The groups will be hearing from Ottawa Tourism, Invest Ottawa, L-Spark itself, plus a lot of our member companies are here to meet with the new talent. So I very much hope that come September, come post-graduation, we will see this tech park of ours here just filled with young, enthusiastic talent. And we do appreciate you taking the time to pop in and say hi.
Well, Victoria, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for arranging this. And as you know, if you need advice, give me a call.
That is very kind. Thank you ever so much. Take good care, Sir Terry. Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.